But yeah, moving on. We're gonna get straight into wine about it here because I got some things to say. I don't have a lot to say. I know you have a lot to say, but the Atlanta race sucked. I don't know. Okay, once again, this is Wine About It, presented by L'uva Bella Winery. Shout out to them for being a great sponsor of this podcast. But the Atlanta race was awful. The racing was awful. The entire weekend was awful. I don't understand why they didn't have any practice. The drivers did what a lot of people kind of called out last year. They just go out there and ride around. Like, if you're in the lead, you're basically just riding around. You're logging laps. You're not actually seeing any racing. This new super speedway pack, like, obviously super speedway races can be exciting. We've seen super speedway races at Daytona, Talladega, super exciting, lots of passing. Atlanta Motor Speedway is not as wide as Daytona or Talladega. There's not enough room for these guys to make any moves. So unless they get super aggressive, which is what we saw in the final stage of this race, they're out there just logging laps and kind of just figuring out what the hell's going on. And for them to take a track like Atlanta, which produced some awesome racing, it put the effort into the drivers' hands. It made the better drivers stand out. I understand people didn't like it because, people got out to 20-second leads and just absolutely dominated the race. But the fact of the matter is, I'd rather watch something like that than the shit show that we saw on Sunday, because that race was unbearable to watch. And I cannot understate how many times or how often I do not say that. I rarely say that a race is unwatchable, but that was awful. That was an awful race, and NASCAR should be embarrassed for what the hell they did to that racetrack.
I totally agree. And my wine about it, presented by L'uva Bella Wines, and I do actually have their Cabernet Sauvignon here. So I'm going to have a little bit of it. I've already had it because I was having really bad neck pain the other day, and I knew this would help me relax my muscles a bit. So it was the one thing I had on hand. And so I've already reviewed it in my personal head. So I'm going to just have a sip here. But I'm a cab guy, and I love cabs, and this is right up my alley. So just another stellar review for me for L'uva Bella Wines. A little more acidic because it is a cab. But that's what I like. So if you like Cabernet, this is a very in the middle Cabernet. It's not too bold, it's not too acidic, but it's got some of each, so it's like perfect. So anyway, there's my wine review for that. But I'm gonna kind of whine about the race, but also whine about myself because remember last week on this episode or on Stacking Dennys, I was like, I don't want the race to be shorter. I'm not glad it's 400 miles. Give me 1,000 miles of racing. Like that thing I was saying.
Yeah.
Because I think Greg Mathern had tweeted something about it. And I'm not going to say I wanted less racing because I still always want more racing. But that was pretty brutal. That was quite painful to watch. I mean, there was a point. I shouldn't say a point. There was a large chunk of time where it was a 36-car train around the track. Just one after the other, follow the leader. That's not exciting. That's not racing. That's riding. We want racing. And like I said, I'll kind of game the system here a little bit. I said I want 1,000 miles of racing. That wasn't racing. That was racing, no. Terrible. And then people are like, well, what about stage 3? And there's a reason. So if you saw during the race, I tweeted out over-under on Gluck's poll, 19.5% for good race. Everybody kept saying under, and I was like, you guys are chiming in too early. I think it's going to be over because they're going to be competitive in stage 3 and things are going to happen and people are going to be like, oh, it was a great race. And that's what happened. But it wasn't a great race. 2/3 of it was terrible. And then the last third was like, they could get side by side, but they just couldn't really advance. Like, you remember the Penske's were just sitting there underneath Brad Keselowski and they were just all stuck there until the final lap, basically. There was nothing that happened even in stage 3, it seemed like. So I didn't enjoy the race. I definitely voted no, and I think since you and I have started Stacking Dennys, I think I voted no 3, maybe 4 times. This is one of them. I know Martinsville last year. I think Bristol Dirt last year, and that might be it, honestly. It might be 3. There may be one more I'm forgetting about, maybe from the year prior, but this would be at most number 4 that I voted no on since you and I started Stacking Dennys. Just a bad product. A terrible product. And, I don't I don't know how. I mean, not to fix it or anything, but it's they're not gonna go back to, well, we'll put normal rules on it because that's gonna be unbearably bad. I just think there's a little bit of I'll give people a pass here in a little bit of a way. There's almost a no-win situation because Atlanta had to be repaved. It was so old, falling apart, weepers. It had to be repaved. And the problem with a repave is then the track becomes terrible because it's so much grip you can't pass. And there's not multiple lines and all that. So I understand what they're trying to do, but the product's just bad right now at Atlanta.
And I feel like it's almost gotten worse compared to last year, the first year of this new track. I feel like it's almost gotten worse. And that's you definitely don't want to see this sport take a step back, but definitely was not where it needed to be. Another part of it, and I thought this was going to be your wine about it, was going to be Mike Joy.
Yeah, it was going to be. And then last night when you and I were going to record, which of course we ended up having to push, which is Mike Joy had tweeted out his mea culpa, his I'm sorry, so I was like, we'll forget about that. But I'm glad. I think at some point, I'm not going to speak for Mike Joy. I'm not going to speak for Fox or anything like that. I feel like he was probably pushed into that based off of the response.
Oh, yeah.
But into apologizing or whatever. So it sounds like it's done. But why are you calling keyboard warriors out over a new feature you're introducing? That keyboard warriors have nothing to do with that. So it made no sense. It was.
I think it's Fox trying to be edgy.
It just wasn't. It wasn't any. And they're trying to be edgy and hip, but I think they're doing it all the wrong ways. I don't know if you saw Denny Hamlin's thing. Like, while we're at it, why don't we get rid of these damn cartoon things? Like they look rough,
so bad.
Yeah, they look horrible.
But we got a good question about this, and it's something I wanted to talk about anyway. Was Mike Joy? I feel like needs to step away. Like he called it the Nextel Cup during practice. Buddy, we haven't had Nextel Cup since early 2000s. What's going on? He called Corey LaJoie's sponsor, which is Celsius energy drink, he called it Cialis. Come on. Like, I feel like Mike Joy's losing it. And
there were a lot of times last year he couldn't get names and numbers right. And I'm not even talking about guys switching cars or teams. There was just some bad ones. And, at this point I've almost tuned it out because I just kind of expect that from him. But I know there's been a few others I've tweeted this year. Like, what? Like, that made no sense.
Yeah. And that's one of the questions we got was, if you could put, who would you want in the booth? Who's your dream booth?
So for me, I love Lee Diffie for IndyCar. Mm-hmm. I think he would do a great job for NASCAR as well. So he's NBC instead of either Mike Joy or Rick Allen. And then add in, I really like Letarte. I think he brings a good perspective. I love Dale Jr., obviously. And I really like Kurt. I really like Kurt Busch. And we're going to get to hear him this weekend on Fox. I thought he did an amazing job in those truck races for Fox last year for FS1 or 2, whatever channel they'd end up being on. I think Kurt Busch he's very insightful. He's passionate, but he's not stupid. Like he doesn't make like ridiculously dumb jokes or things that just aren't funny. So that's kind of, I think, what I would prefer to see if I could like pick my dream team, broadcasting team.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on Dale Jr. I actually really like Mike Bagley from MRN. I just hate the fact that Rick Allen constantly calls him the bag man. Like he makes it a point to say the bag man 50 times in a broadcast. Excuse me. But I think Bagley does a good job. And then Dale Jr. to me needs to be in the booth at all times. He offers a ton of information. And I really like Jeff Gordon. Like I think he does a really good job.
I love Jeff Gordon in the booth. Jeff Gordon in the booth. But there's also some bias there just because he was my favorite driver.
Right. But compare, I don't think Boyer does a terrible job, but he needs training on how to announce these races. I actually personally enjoy Tony Stewart in the booth. I think he's a little funny. He's super dry sense of humor.
Yeah, super dry. I kind of enjoy it. And I don't know. I mean, obviously his analysis is great because he's Tony Stewart. He's one of the best of all time. I enjoy him more than I enjoy Boyer. And it's not that I don't enjoy Boyer. I don't think he's quite TV polished, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'm done complaining and thinking about Atlanta. I'm already on Dakota in my mind. So once again, this was presented by L'uva Bella Winery. You can order their wines online. Do not hesitate to do that. I think if you order a case, you save like 10% and free shipping. I think. Don't quote me on that. I could be completely wrong. Anyway, I will drop the link to order those online. You can also find them in stores, several states, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, big stores such as Kroger, Meijer, Walmart, all the good things. Make sure you check them out. Very good wine, as you've already heard.